Hey, alumni, this might be an unpopular opinion, but what if I told you that doubt is the default? That you're not simply off track because of the doubt that you're facing, and that an invitation and commitment to faith can only exist because we are creatures of doubt naturally. I think that's good news for people navigating the challenging journey of life after graduation. This week, we're joined by Dr. Heather Thompson Day, speaker, podcaster, and author of the book, What If I'm Wrong? Navigating the Waves of Fear and Failure. And Heather is going to help us wrap our minds around the reality of doubt, to help us normalize its existence in our lives, and to invite us into a journey with Jesus when the road ahead is unclear. And alumni, the road ahead is oftentimes unclear in this season of life. Welcome to After 4, your podcast for navigating life after graduation. I'm your host and guide, John Steele, and this one's for you, alumni. Dr. Day, welcome to the podcast.
My goodness, I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you. I know in our introduction, you already told me I could call you Heather, but I've already reverted to Dr. Day. Thank you. Thank you, Heather.
Listen, even my students who are like 18 call me Heather, so you absolutely can.
Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate that. Well, Heather, I'm really glad to have you. I know that intervarsity spaces are not brand new spaces for you. I know that there's some history there, at least to some degree. But would you help me and help our listeners get to know you a little bit here before we jump into our conversation for today?
Oh, this is like the question I always hate when people ask me. Like, what do you say? When people are like, tell me about yourself. I don't know.
Say whatever you want. Say what you've never been able to say before.
I'll tell you what I always say. I define myself as being a teacher and a student. That has taken up the majority of my life. And I am no longer teaching, but it absolutely has changed the way I see myself and see the world and see my connection to other people in service to one another. And then I'm definitely still a student. You know, I am an avid, sometimes I like can't believe that we get to just read a book in a week that somebody spent 3 years researching and writing. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I just can't believe that more people don't read. And I think it's funny because people often will think I'm smart, and it's like, I'm really not. I just read people who are smart, and then I take their ideas and I start sharing them with people, you know?
So I got a Rolodex in my brain.
Yeah. I love being a student and learning and growing.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that. I feel like that is such a meaningful posture, especially in a time where it feels like you have to be an expert. Like, we just live in a strange era where it feels like you have to be a complete expert on whatever it is and just be totally bought into this one idea, full send. And it's great. I appreciate being able to sit down and talk to somebody that's like, you know what? I got to keep learning. I'm going to keep learning. I don't know it all. And that means a lot to me.
John, like, here's the truth. And I think most academics feel this way. The more you learn, the more you realize there is to learn. Every book I read about 30 theology books a year.
Wow.
Every book I read, I'm not joking. I have, like, every book I read, I learn something that I say, this changes everything.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, like a week ago, I thought I was super smart and knew it all. So it's like, you just realize, man, there are so many people that have given their lives to study these little tiny niche things that really do impact all the other pieces, you know?
Yes. And I think that posture, that learning that you continue to do and saying, I've got it figured out. Wait, no, I don't have it figured out. I appreciate that that's the posture you're bringing with us into today's conversation in particular. Heather, we're on a journey in this series talking about faith transition as we move into life after graduation, knowing that our skill, we bring a skill set with us into life after graduation, especially our InterVarsity alumni who have come from a very tight-knit faith community, but suddenly those things just kind of, to some degree, they just disappear after graduation, that tight-knit community that's just right there to help walk you through things. And so there are changes that need to be made. And the last few weeks, we've talked about some helpful tools for preparing to transition well. But with you, I would like to spend some time talking about the intersection of this transition to life after graduation and doubt. Big changes in our lives. For some reason, I don't necessarily, I have some ideas, but I don't necessarily understand why completely, that big changes in our life, big transitions to new things can sometimes introduce doubt about the old things that we've held on to. And so I'm hoping that you and I can dive into some of those things together. And part of what makes me think, initially my invitation that made me think Heather would be a great person to talk about this is that I'm fairly certain, hopefully I'm not wrong about this, I'm fairly certain that you have had a number of really big transitions and changes in your life over the last few years.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that there are places where doubts about your calling, doubts about your faith in Jesus and the way that God has made you, I would imagine that doubt has been introduced into those spaces. So I'm assuming that you have some things you can help us, that you can help teach us in those things from your own personal experiences, and also from times that you've spent with students, that you have been with people who are about to make some of these big jumps into the next phase of life. So by way of getting us started and helping us get to know you a little bit more, would you be willing to share some of your recent transition stories or your transition experiences, and some of the experiences that you've had with doubt as well in the midst of those big changes?
Yeah. So here's one of my big transitions that I'm just now going through. This was my first semester, I guess, in fall of 2024. I know now we're in spring. This is my first fall and spring academic year that I'm not teaching. And teaching is what I've done since I was 23 years old. It was my first real big girl job and I loved it. And I just stayed and I'm 38 now. So I'm saying almost 15 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Every fall I went back to school. So this is my first, and as I told you, like for years, I've said, this is who I am. I'm a teacher. Yeah. Well, who are you when you're not in a classroom?
Right.
And I understand the challenge so for me, my service was always, it was very easy for me to serve God because my students were embedded into my daily life. I was actively able to just show up at my job and have people be there with me, right? That I can lead and guide and mentor and pour into. So now that I'm working from home, it has been a challenge for me to say, where am I? Because speaking, I do that, but that's a different beast, I think. Where am I actually serving people? Yeah. Like where I'm in your life. When that's not, and I'm telling you, for those of you who, if you get a job and you're working from home, it's going to require you to be 50 times more intentional.
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm going to give an example of what that means. I was at Popeyes the other day and I felt the Spirit. I sat down and there was this very an elderly man sitting next to me. And I felt the Spirit say, go ask if you can sit with him. And that is what I'm talking about. I don't have a student. I naturally had students come to me and say, can I sit with you? Sure. Right. I'm a good person. This is easy. Let's do this. Well, now am I willing to go seek out an opportunity to be with somebody? And I said to him, hey, sir, I was very awkward and uncomfortable because I was like, because I probably wouldn't want someone to come sit with me. So I was like, he probably doesn't even want me to, Lord. And I said, sir, are you enjoying being alone? And he was like, what? And I said, and so then I had to speak louder. This went back and forth 3 times. And then he was like, no, you can sit here. And so then I sat there and we had a wonderful dinner over chicken tenders and conversation. But yeah, it took me being intentional. Okay, here's what I want to say about doubt. If the righteous shall live by faith, doubt is always going to be the preferred or the normal road.
Wow.
The only reason faith is the only time you see Jesus say, wow, or be in awe is of faith because it's that difficult.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's the only time that he marvels is at someone's faith. So the default, I would say the normal position that we are all in is doubt.
Yeah. That is so helpful. I mean, just the framing faith in doubt, that what is faith without needing to face doubt at the same time. So if you are going to be a faithful follower of Jesus, it means you are walking the road of doubt very consistently.
Right. And it's not that doubt isn't there. At least I have not. I'm not going to say I'll never, because I would love to be so sanctified that I don't experience it at all.
Yeah.
But I have yet in my spiritual journey to not be confronted by doubt daily.
Yeah. As you think about some of those big changes, even just even just that one change of moving from this very large change, moving from, being a professor, teaching year in and year out for the last 15 or so years, and then all of a sudden not doing that. Are there places where you could see doubt in particular, doubt either in your calling or doubt in man, what does it mean for me even to keep saying yes to Jesus? Who am I, Jesus, to you in this process, as something that has been so near and dear to me is now no longer a part of my life? What were there questions of doubt that you remember wrestling with in this season?
Yes, every time I open my bank account.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Every time I open my bank account, I wonder if I was right.
Wow.
Right? Or am I doing this right? Or what does it mean to be blessed by God?
Yeah.
That is a reality that I think a lot of people face. And I think it's actually sad that we don't talk about it more. And my husband because I keep writing about financial difficulties and stuff. My husband's like, can you stop telling everybody about our financial status? Because I just wrote a book called What If I'm Wrong? And it's I literally put what the title of one of the chapters is how much money my husband and I had in our bank account. And he was like, can you stop doing that? But I think it's important because else we think that if things go wrong, we think, oh, well, God's not with me, or I've made a mistake, or God, clearly I'm not anointed, or I'm not. It's that is not true.
Yeah.
Resistance. I would say this: ease was never the sign of God's presence over your life. Period. Wow. Resistance actually is probably the sign of God's presence over your life. God shows up to Moses in a burning bush, and Moses still has to go back to Pharaoh 10 times.
Wow. Yeah.
We are fools if we think, it's going to be so easy and all the doors are going to open and everyone's going to love me. And then something happens, right? Where our door closed and our fingers are still in it. And we say, God, you forgot me. Babe, absolutely not. He is with you. This is actually the deal.
Yeah.
Is that he will be with you through the difficulty and the struggles and the poverty and the pain.
Yes. I don't remember what the passage is, but it talks about that, God causes his rain to fall on the just and the wicked.
I talk about that in my book all the time because I hate it. Right? I struggle. Truly, that is hard. A God who allows the sun to shine on both the righteous and the wicked.
Yes. That good things cannot be a sign of God's favor necessarily, because the wicked are getting these good things as well.
Oh, there's a lot of people that will do a lot of things in their own strength. Right. And I really believe that it takes an anointed posture to wait upon the Lord to be able to say and know when to move. Right. You can do things in your own strength. Go ahead. My preferred, I don't want to be anywhere God has not placed me. Period.
Yes. Heather, what is it about these big transitions? It's just, as I'm thinking about our primary listener, the InterVarsity alumni in their first year of life after graduation, I mean, they are, depending on when they're listening to this episode, they are either in the throes of wrapping up on campus, or they are they're in the midst of it right now. I'm after graduation and I'm starting to face some of these doubts. What is it in your experience? What is it about big life transitions that causes us to doubt?
I mean, your brain is trying to process information that it doesn't know how to process yet. Right? You are in the gap between what I know and what I still don't know.
Yeah.
And the number one sign of being in that gap is frustration. That's normal. Whenever your brain is trying to figure out something it still doesn't know, it becomes frustrated.
Yeah.
But that's also where growth happens. I don't know anybody who says, man, I was totally comfortable for the last 3 years and I grew so much. I mean, everybody you'll ever meet who is going to tell you about, oh my goodness, I've never seen God grow me and stretch me and change me and mold me like in these 3 dark years or this year of transition or this summer. That's because that's where that happens.
Yeah.
And your brain never likes it. Your brain wants to just know what's going to happen. So you just got to here's what I say. This is what I say. When I don't know what's going to happen or where I'm even going to be or where I'm going to live or what's going to happen in my bank, I have to tell myself what I do know. I literally will say out loud to my brain, you do know God is good. You know that. And then I'll give my brain experiences in my past where I've seen that to be true.
Yes. Yes. It reminds me of, is it Psalm 77 that starts that? Something similar to that, where where the psalmist is saying, like, here's these things that are really not working out for me right now, and I don't know where God is. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take myself back to the times of God's faithfulness.
Yes.
I'm going to recount these things, and I'm going to trust that God is the God that I'm waiting on now.
I do that all the time.
Mm.
Speaking, you have to, for me, I believe in saying things out loud. I studied communication for almost 15 years, right? Like,
okay,
your brain is listening to you. Actually, your brain is wired in the negative.
Okay.
Your brain is not going to just think positively. No, nobody's does.
Oh, yeah.
It is wired in the negative. So you have to audibly tell it the positive things that you want it to start paying attention to and see. And I believe first thing when I wake up, first thing that comes out of my mouth is, God, I give you this day and all that is in it. Help me to walk into your light.
Wow.
First thing. And then my brain is looking for ways that I can do that. Right? That I can confer, or I'll say, Lord, help me to make a moment for someone today. And then my brain is looking for the guy at Popeyes. If I don't say that out loud, my brain is just looking for all the ways to confirm what I don't have and where I still don't understand. And you know what I mean? All those doubts creep back in.
Yes. Yes. So, Heather, it seems to me that you would encourage an alum who is experiencing doubt, even in some really fundamental things. Like, I'm really struggling to see God right now because of my bank account, because the things that I've spent all this time studying for these last 3 to 8 years, depending on what schooling you're coming out of right now. It's like it's not falling into place the way that I thought I would, or I don't love it the way that I thought I would. That you would encourage people. You would encourage people to lean in, not to lean back, to say, like, hey, if God is in the doubt, if a faithful follower of Jesus is experiencing doubt, then maybe this is a place to actually lean in, not to run for secure feelings.
Here's what I would say. I don't care if you see God. God sees you.
Oh, wow.
And if you're the one in a burning building and somebody's saying to jump, it doesn't matter if you can see them. What matters is that they can see you. Yeah. So you jump. That's what I'm saying. You have to know what is true. And it doesn't, I need this. Let me say this too. It doesn't matter if you feel it. All the time. I can see one of my students, she came into my office and she said, you don't understand, Dr. Day. I have prayed and I have cried and I have tried and I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
And I said, sweetie, who told you that you were always going to feel it? This is what I'm saying. You have to know who God is. And I'll also say this. Sometimes I think we do know, like in our bones, at least for me, in my bones or in my gut, I know, but my feelings don't feel it. And then I'll think that my feelings are the accurate depiction, or my feelings are really what's truly revealing where my faith is. No. My faith is in my gut. The rest, that's just like demonic warfare and spiritual warfare and things. Seriously, that's all the rejection and pain and whatever things my brain has past experience. So just tell that side of your brain, no. I know what you're doing, but in my gut, I know he's with me. And then just let it be.
Yeah. Yeah. I will fall back on the things that I've known to be true. Even if I'm not feeling it right now.
You're not always going to feel
it. Yes, exactly. And we've been so trained into this sense of like, well, whatever feels right, whatever feels good, you do you, just follow your heart. And it's like, well, it seems to me that following your heart and you doing you are the things that are most likely to lead you astray.
Sometimes, I personally believe the Holy Spirit's supposed to live in me.
Well,
right? So I hope I can trust my heart if God is in it.
Yes.
But I don't think that's your heart, John. Like here's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that doubt, I don't think that is your heart.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's your flesh. Your heart, I think, is where that stuff is true, where you do know, despite what and it is like, let's be real. it is very confusing if my bank account is negative, right? To then say, God's with me. Right. Those two things feel confusing. Yeah. And I think it's okay to say, hey, I'm not seeing you right now, God, but I know that you see me. And so just hold me. Let me and sometimes you just go to sleep, friend, like go to bed, because truly his mercies can be new in the morning. And the next day you wake up and you're like, whoa, what was that yesterday? I mean, have you not had that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Sometimes nothing has changed except that I took a nap or I ate and now or I spent time with my family who loves me. And now all of a sudden it's like, I can go one more day. Yes. You know, that's it.
Absolutely.
We just need to go one more day.
Yeah. Last night, before I worked out, I was like, I'm pretty much ready to scrap like all this and all that and all, like, I'm just done with it. Like whatever. And then I was like, but I'm going to put my workout gear on and I'm going to try. And then before I knew it, I was 85% done with my workout.
There you go.
And I was like, actually, tomorrow doesn't look so bad. I think, okay. And there was like there's that short circuit. And then here's this moment that God met me, that now I can look back and say, without me realizing it, God met me in the way that he built my body to respond to exercise. And like, I was ready to keep going after that. And that was like a blessing of God. I met God in that space. Even what is it Jacob after he has the dream and he says, God is in this place and I wasn't aware of it.
Yes.
How often is that the case for us that later on we look back after the dream or after the whatever and like, wait a second, God was there. That's why this happened or this change occurred. Alumni, if you find yourself today in the midst of doubt, don't lose hope. Remember that doubt is a normal part of our faith journey. Yes, we are invited into faith and to trust that God is moving and is in control, and we can't lose sight of that. But God is also patient and gracious, and he is working through this process with us. And when it feels like you just can't see God, remember that he sees you. Remember the times you've seen him at work in the past. Trust that he is the same God today as he was then, and wait patiently for the next time you see him. And in the meantime, don't wrestle through the doubt yourself. Invite someone in who will hold you up in faithful prayer when it feels hard to do it on your own. More to come next week on the topic of doubt with Heather. Until then, consider sharing this episode with someone who needs to hear it, and I will see you in the after, alumni. Thanks for listening to After 4. This podcast is brought to you by the InterVarsity Alumni Relations Team, hosted and produced by John Steele, production assistance by Mike Zentera, edited by Caleb Leppert, and our After 4 theme music was written and performed by John Steele.